Welcome to once again our time together to explore the teachings of the Great Council of the Grandmothers and the message of the Net of Light. We've had a great response. I think this is number 3. And our plan is to continue these, maybe indefinitely, depending, what unfolds next. But they've been a great success, and what we've learned, if I'm having a regular meeting here in my home, maybe I have 25 people, but if we do this, we have several thousand people. So this is a much better vehicle to get the grandmother's teachings and messages out to more people. And to that end, I really want to again encourage you to contact us, especially with your questions. We are so grateful for them. What we're going to talk about today basically came from several people's questions from last time. So we like to know what you're wanting to learn. It sparks us to learn more, and it also enables us then to really address what's needed. We're going to be talking today about power and the feminine principle, woman and power, and the concept of beauty is power, power is beauty. Also today, we're going to have other people talking besides just me, and we'll do that as many times as we can think of, because it's good for you to experience learning from others as well. And there are many, many women and a few men involved in this work who've been doing it for a long enough time that they're really grounding the grandmother's message. They understand the power of the net of light, and they're living this message. And I want you to hear from as many of them as possible. I think that's about that. We'll go till we're done. I'm expecting that'll be around between 40 minutes and an hour, but we'll know when enough is enough. Okay, and so what we're going to talk about today is working with the feminine principle and marrying the concept of deep down femininity with deep abiding power. This concept is foreign to most of us, and we've had to learn it. And the grandmothers are really patient teachers. They never give up. They'll pull another rabbit out of the hat in order to get our awareness and get our attention. The reason it's so hard for us to learn about the power of the feminine is because we've never seen it. It's not been visible on Earth in any sustained way for thousands of years. With the advent of patriarchy and all that came with patriarchy, the feminine principle was pushed down. The understanding of God the Mother was lost. The concept of God the Mother was denied. And so we have all grown up and lived our lives under the thumb of patriarchy, both men and women, and to the impoverishment of our souls and to the impoverishment of our lives. When I first met the grandmothers and they started to talk to me like this, I got so mad at men. Those suckers, what have they done to us, etc. Furious. And the grandmothers would just laugh and laugh. And gradually over time, what I learned was we as women suffer because of this hammerlock of patriarchy, and men suffer even more than we do. We lose a sense of our own efficacy, our own power, our agency, but they feel like there's nobody home. They're empty in here. And so you often commonly see men seeking out there in the world to fill themselves. We all do that, but they do it even more than women do it with, with alcohol, with drugs, with sex, with women, with men, with fast cars, with money, with whatever. Fill me up, because there's nobody home here. So we all suffer from the loss of this understanding of the feminine principle that is our birthright. So the grandmothers have come to return us to our center point, which is to be at one with not only the masculine principle, God the Father, but at one with the feminine principle, God the Mother. These two are in union within us, but we've had to wade through the big weeds to get to them because of our conditioning, which has been, on your knees, woman, all of that sort of thing. And so they have had to teach us and teach us, and they're very good teachers. So the good news is, no matter where you are on this ride with the grandmothers, what you're going to notice is your understanding, your feeling of compassion for yourself and others, your sense of joy and aliveness is going to grow and expand more than you can ever imagine. I see no end in sight for this. So as we begin today, we're gonna instead of ending with working with the net of light, we're going to begin working with the net of light, so that all the work we do together today will be held within this vast network of light, and the power that comes to us and that goes out forth from us will be exponentially increased. Sounds good to me too. Okay, so let's go inside and begin to open ourselves. So you can close your eyes if you want. What I'm going to do is I will move away from this screen so you don't have to look at me, and you can just focus inside yourself and think now of that great net of light that holds the earth farther than the eye can see. This is the radiant net of light that covers every aspect of our planet, that goes far, far out into the cosmos, holding every universe within this system. Every living thing is held in the radiant net of light, including you. And right at this moment, especially you, because you are really anchoring it. And as you do that, because you are part of the net of light, everyone has an easier time accessing this source of life and light and goodness. So just think of opening now to the radiance of the net of light throughout all your systems, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. Everything responds to the net of light instantaneously. And it begins to flow throughout your veins, throughout the air sacs in your lungs, throughout your fatty tissue, throughout your bone systems, throughout your memory banks, everywhere. You become fully, fully alive to this radiant light that fills you, holds you, and upholds you always. And just breathe with the net of light now. And in a way, it's like inside you're saying yes, yes, as you receive what belongs to you. And every breath brings this gift of the net of light deeper into every part of you. And as that happens, there's a beautiful healing and awakening, just this glorious radiance pouring through you. This is your natural home base, to be held in light, to be full of light. This is who you are. And we think of our union together now, all of us linked through our hearts with the net of light. our union with all the sacred beings, and there are so many of them. And they are holding us, and we are being held. And all of us together are broadcasting this great joy and happiness throughout our cell beds, throughout the planetary grid, everywhere at the same time. And we think of all the sacred and holy places on our beloved Mother Earth, every one of them just ringing with light now. We think of all the saints and the sages and the avatars, many of whom are with us now at this seminal moment on Earth when all this radical change is taking place. We are in union, all of us together. And together we cast the radiant net of light to the human family, asking that every child, every woman, every man receive whatever they most need now, according to their highest good. And in this casting of the net, we include all the ancestors of the light, those who are no longer with us in physical form, but who are still linked in light, now and evermore. And we cast to those who will be born, those who will be coming soon to this planet to do the work of the hour, which is the work of transformation. And all of us together, linked in light, greeting one another in radiance and happiness. We cast to all the leaders of this world, asking that each one of them remember that they are part of the radiant net of light, that they are not separate. We cast to all the medical personnel who have been so selflessly giving of themselves, and to all the COVID-19 patients everywhere, and to all the emergency and basic service workers who have been such grace notes in all of our lives. We cast to the animal kingdom, asking that all our brothers and sisters with 4 legs and fins and wings be blessed. We cast to the plant kingdom. We cast to the mineral kingdom. We cast to everything that lives. And together in our hearts, we ask, may everyone in all the worlds be happy. May everyone in all the worlds be happy. Everyone in all the worlds be happy. Oh, peace, peace, peace. May I be happy, may you be happy, may all beings be happy. And notice how your body feels now. That probably took maybe 5 minutes, and such a sincere coming together and prayer has great power. So you are probably feeling that in your body and in your psyche now. And it will go on as we work together. And so the first person who's gonna meet with us or talk with us right now, share a little from her heart, is Carolyn from the Gold Coast in Australia. And Carolyn and Christine have been in charge of all the grandmothers groups in Australia and New Zealand for a number of years. So Carolyn, welcome. Glad you're here.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you.
You
Wonderful
know,
to be here.
this topic of women and power and women. Do you have anything you'd like to kind of lay?
I do. I had a few thoughts about when I was speaking with you the other day and my fellow sisters about yin, the power of yin. What is yin? And I really started to think about what is yin. And I thought about a few words that are associated with yin, like yin, the feminine principle, cool, soft, moist is yin. There's, sorry, I've lost my train of thought here. I know what else. Yin's quiet and it's still and it's receptive. So all those words to me speak of yin, that power of yin, and it's a holding energy. And the grandmothers tell us that it's a great receptive energy, and it's a container to hold. The grandmothers also tell us that the yang energy is rampant on the planet now. So we all know that life stems from a point of balance, the point of balance from yin and yang being the great duality of the whole. So generally today, yin is not valued. Women aren't valued. It's very evident on the planet that women aren't valued today. Society is distracted by technology and any other number of distractions that we choose to get into. And we glorify being busy, which is a yang energy. And that energy of separation, it separates us from who we really are. So right now, women all over the world are starting to step into their power, step into their yin energy. And men are also learning to integrate their yin energy.
So Carolyn, when you think about this and a great imbalance between masculine and feminine, between yang, masculine, and yin, feminine, what do you see as being the worst, or what are some of the effects that's happening from this great imbalance of too much yang or masculine, too much go, 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 and not enough yin, hold, anchor of nurture, fill? What do you notice? Because you're an acupuncturist.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying before. It's just that we glorify being busy. And when you're busy and there's all that yang energy and activity, everything gets out of control, everything's out of balance. And that's so evident now on our planet with what's happening. And in these times that we're in now, where we're in quarantine and we're safe spacing from everyone, it's a time for us to really step into our yin, step into that stillness and that quietness and that calmness. And if we can do that, if humanity can do that, we can
put us in this, like sit down and be quiet, go into this feminine principle, because we're running around like rabid rabbits or something, just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I think a great metaphor for that is when you look at the ocean. I live on the ocean here in Australia, and so I'm watching the water all the time, which is a very yin activity. And the water is an excellent example of the power of yin, because sometimes it's very still. Sometimes I watch it and the waves are rolling in. And when the waves are rolling in, I think, well, you can't go against that force, that power. It just keeps coming. So you have to go with that flow of nature. Yin's very fluid, isn't it? So it's that watching the ocean to me is the fluidity of yin. What do you think about that, Sharon?
I do. I think that's a beautiful thought, and that's very,
Mm,
very true. See, I noticed that what happens with us women is we are, as you say, devalued almost to a
mm,
one, always,
mm,
sometimes in very gross, obvious ways, sometimes in not so obvious ways.
mm.
Sometimes we're just plain neglected, but that is also avoiding us or demoting us from a position of equals. So I'm thinking of this recessive power of yin, like the ocean, Mother Ocean, that gives and rocks us and moves everything,
That's right.
and force of water, how powerful it is. And I'm thinking that most of the time the world does not even know or understand this underlying power of yin, of the feminine. That
It's very
and
restorative,
I'm
isn't it?
one. I don't think until the grandmothers came, I don't think I understood. I know I didn't. The
No.
power of the
Yeah.
feminine principle.
Yes, we're just beginning to understand the power of that. It's like a regenerative energy, isn't it? It's very restorative and very, very regenerating. So it brings about that inner stillness because it's a very calming energy. And I
Yeah.
think as women, we have that ability to, because we are the containers, we have that ability to hold and be still. So we
Yes,
can use these times in a very positive way.
and if nobody is taking that position of holding,
Mm,
anchoring, then everything flies off in every direction and goes
that's right.
berserk. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what's happened in our world.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you for
Mm,
bringing this,
thank you.
bringing in the words of yin and yang and giving them such life.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, everyone.
now I
Thank
think
you.
your partner Christine is gonna has I got you down, Christine, to speak next on something, and I don't know what. There you are.
Thank you, Sharon. Well, what I'd like to speak about is we know intellectually what the power of yin is, and we seek it and we want it and we love it. But how do we get there to it? That's my question. And talking about yin and yang, I think we can learn a lot from yang. In my life, I've found the best lessons have come from how not to do it. And as we look at yang, without being overly critical of it, we realize that that's how not to do it. Power is not about power over others. Power has to be accessed from within us. And for me, ceremony is very important to access that power, that energy of the feminine, of the divine feminine. And the grandmothers give us many gifts to go into the stillness and to employ and to practice deep listening. And a way to do that for me, I've found, is to go to nature, is to go and sit on the earth and just be still and feel the rhythm of my breathing and the rhythm of the earth and the wind, to feel the vibration of my heart and perhaps the vibration of the earth if I can get still enough to feel it. So learning to listen with more than our ears, learning to listen with that deep intuitive part of us that is the divine feminine that can lead us to being absolutely one with all that is. And even though that might be momentary when we're in that contemplation or meditation, we can then take that into our everyday life.
That's it. As you were talking, I could kind of feel that quality of settling down, settling in. And I know, one of the things that's happened with this being quarantined and in this COVID-19 lockdown is nature has begun to regenerate herself. And we've all been, thrilled by that, the life coming back to the waters and the air clearing up. And without all of our crazy running all over the place in our machines, everything is awakening and coming alive again. So as you were speaking, I could feel myself kind of settling into that, coming into contact and alive again. Thank you.
And it seems to me that it's important at this time for us to feel that, so that we can.
Excuse me, that's just obnoxious.
Well, it's a reminder for something. Yeah, it's important that we really feel that at this time, because we're kind of in a holding pattern in terms of our activity. And as things resume in whatever way that is, we need to come back into it differently. When we're talking about feminine power, the grandmothers give us so many gifts, Sharon, and the gift of empowerment is probably one of the most beautiful ceremonies that we can offer one another, and that's showing us power by empowering others, by noticing others, and by really understanding that other woman, it has just as much power. And collectively, we have tremendous power, but it's not power over anything. It's the power within us to change and to transform.
That's right.
How do you feel about, the empowerments that we pass to one another? I think it's important for us to really understand what that is. Sometimes we're doing it. We do it when we meet, and we do it just as we do the net of light. But, how can we go deeper with that?
We will go deeper. It's unavoidable. Over time, I think about 20 years ago, 22 years ago, when the grandmothers first came, and I began very tenuously to pass on to other people what they'd given me, which was this empowerment or awakening, opening to the energy of yin, of the feminine principle. I was kind of tiptoeing around it and worried that I wouldn't do it right, etc. I think that's unavoidable as you first begin. But then as you continue to do this, it sort of infuses every part of your being so that it becomes just a seamless giving, just like breathing. You couldn't just exhale, only exhale, do not inhale. You have to do both. And so as you receive more from the grandmothers, from whatever form of the divine is dear to you, you naturally give more. It's unavoidable. And so it's like this, they remove all these little blocks in the river of life so that the force of life just moves through you more bountifully, more beautifully, and effortlessly. So that now passing on an empowerment is just utterly natural. It's not even a separate event. And it so infuses our lives. I think that what happens is that just being around people who are living that way, without you saying a word, it has an effect. And people receive, even if you say nothing. So the grandmothers actually say that. They say, you don't have to say anything. You don't have to do anything. Your very being will say and do it all. And I think we do come to that in time. And by the way, for those of you who are watching this, I'm glad, Christine, that you brought up the empowerment, because once you've read one of the grandmother's books, any one of us, those of us here today, or any of the group leaders or anybody who's already received the grandmother's empowerment will be happy to pass it on to you. We don't charge any money for any of that. It's just given. We do ask you to read a book first, any one of them that you want. There's 3 books. I happen to bring them with me today, and here they are. This is the first one, A Call to Power, The Grandmothers Speak. This is the second one, Our Love is Our Power. And this is the third one, Casting the Net. Any one of those will give you some grounding in what the grandmothers are about, what this work with the net of light is about. And once you have that, you've read one of them, we're happy to pass the empowerment on to you. You can contact us through the website, or if there's a group near you, you can go to one of them and always receive. And as soon as you receive the empowerment, if you want to, go right ahead and pass it on. We don't like to do that unless you've read a book, but you know what? You can pass it to anybody, anytime you want to. So, Christine, thank you. Thank you very much.
You, Sharon, and thank you for bringing into so many lives the sacred into everyday life.
I like that thought. Let's do more of that. Okay, thank you. So next, I think it's Peggy from Huntsville, Alabama. Yeah, there you are, Peg. Hi.
Sharon, when you say Alabama, you immediately get a Southern drawl. Alabama.
Oh gosh, I guess I do. I'll work on that. I like it. I'll do it more.
So when we were talking over the past several days as this group, and the idea of power and women, Sharon, you had asked us, what comes to mind? What moves in you when you think about this concept of power and women? And the first thing that popped into my mind, and I brought up to our group, is that it's very helpful to realize that there's a big difference between power and force. The world, as we all know all too well, shows us a lot of force. And people frequently, I think, equate force with power. But I think force is a subset of power. Force has qualities of yang. We might think of it as moving, particularly moving fast, speed, aiming for targets, very directed, and it eventually exhausts itself and everyone else trying to keep up with it. But as Carolyn and Christine have already opened the discussion to the qualities of yin, power has qualities of yin. It's slow, it's steady, it's holding, it allows deep listening to innermost feelings. When you think that force is your only choice or option, you really don't have power at all. If a person is powerful, he or she has a choice of using force or discussion or mediation or nothing at all and simply remaining the compassionate witness or compassionate observer. So someone who uses only force may seem powerful, but that person is limited because force doesn't allow any other possible way to act. In the way of yin, love is the power, and yin is the condition of holding and stillness. I also wanted to speak about something that many of us are familiar with, and it's the Hindu goddess Durga, because that was the second thing that popped into my mind in that first discussion after wanting to examine the difference between power and force. Durga is the warrior mother's power as a protective force to save the world for all that's good and harmonious. But this also offers a wonderful teaching story if we ask, what is she warring against? Well, she's warring against evil and the forces that threaten peace and freedom and justice and reverence for life. And one of the most important things I think to remember is that Durga is an aspect of each one of us. Each one of us has that Durga aspect, although some of us are not aware and haven't practiced with it very much. But if we take that power seriously and learn to use it, we can begin to face down our own inner enemies, the pride, the greed, the ego constantly trotting out with anger or envy or gluttony. We all have our particular bugaboos, I think. But another enemy, an interior enemy, is fear, because it paralyzes us from taking action when we really need to. And I think that's the stance women had for a very long time. So we can call upon our inner Durga to dissolve what's holding us back and to face down the enemies within ourselves. So like the old Pogo cartoon, we've met the enemy and he is us. Well, or we've met the enemy and she is us. Well, now we have tools to meet the enemies within ourselves. And that can only make us stronger and more powerful. Not forceful, but powerful.
Wow, Peggy, you hit gold there. That's the big challenge, because it's a lot easier to be mad at someone out there. You know, that's the bad person. They did it to me. They are no good. Let me tell you all about them. That's an easy and that's the big ride to nowhere, because you never get free from that stuff. But if instead it is, wait a minute, what is this triggering in me? What, icky, cruddy feeling, which one is it that I have here? Is this wounded my sense of importance? Is this, do I want to get even? What is this? And look at what are those unresolved, unlovely qualities inside me, because that's not really who me is, who anybody is. But until I can really face that, it's going to run my life. And so I'm glad you brought up Durga, the great warrior mother who goes to war for the goodness and the truth and seeks those inner enemies within. Ooh.
And Durga never acts out of ego. She's egoless. Yeah. So she's depicted as always having this face of serenity, because she's not coming from a gotta lord over power, gotta destroy for the fun of it, or anything like that. It's for reverence for life. So she maintains that beautiful serenity. She's just going to do it because this is what you do for life.
This has to do with, I think of the title of the second book, Our Love is Our Power. That deep down grounded love that is the life force that holds the whole planet together. That is the kind of love, power, love that is the feminine principle. It's not striking. It's not going out after anything. It is that rock solid, grounded, holding life force. Sign me up. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I'm just glad that everybody is here.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Peg. Thanks. Okay, I think Nadia, you're next. And Nadia comes to us from Antwerp in Belgium. Hi, Nadia.
Hi. Boy, so much has been said already. What's left? So when we spoke earlier this week, I shared that by coincidence, the days leading up to our meeting on Wednesday, in my morning meditation, I sat down and I was going to do the net of light meditation as I usually do. And for some reason, I wasn't able to move forward with that. And I heard the grandmothers say, or I felt, just sit with us, just be, allow, allow things to be, just sit. And I felt myself like pushed back in my chair. And I was just sitting there, sitting and holding space, holding and expanding. I was starting to expand and my lower body was feeling so solid. So I felt anchored as well. And I felt that 2 days in a row. And then I heard, what the topic was going to be. And I thought, that's not a coincidence. But that feeling of feeling like a rock, feeling like being the mountain, being as solid as a mountain, unmovable, or being the riverbed, allowing the river to flow through you. And along the river, it's wider and smaller and more narrow, and the water just flows through. The water adapts. It just keeps flowing. And at the same time, you're just holding. The riverbed is holding. And you're the river as well. You're the water. You're fluid. You can adapt. You can just, you are. Yin is. That's
Wow.
That's how it feels. The power of yin. And it was a beautiful experience. It is a beautiful experience. And the reason why I'm saying that is I worked in a yang world, a really yang world, for many years in a man's world, in the computer business. So it was so different. So to feel that, it's like coming home.
Welcome home, Nadia. Thank you. Thank you. And Lynn from Seattle. And Lynn, you've been leading a group in Seattle, I think, since 2007. First time we ever had a gathering of the grandmothers. We had it here at my house, and you came. And boy, ever since then, you've been just an intrinsic part of this work. Do you want to?
Right. A wild ride.
Yeah. Do you want to add anything to any of this?
I do. I was so happy about this topic. And when you talked about the nature of the feminine, it was just like, of course, it's the power of the womb, this amazing holding. And when I say hold, it's a capital H. The womb holds while life inside is being created and it's swirling. It's held and surrounded, protected, fed, nurtured. It's miraculous. And all of this in so much stillness, as we've talked about stillness. And so right now, here we are. I see this time of sheltering in place as a yin space. I mean, we're here. A lot of us are inside our homes, and we are being held again with a capital H as we struggle and are confused, as we swirl and transform and really metamorphose. Yin is the womb. It's the cocoon. It's the chrysalis. It's the egg. It's the nest. So I think, yeah, we're all like egg. We're all like chicks being held inside an egg. And the egg itself is being held inside this nest. All good.
What a lovely image, and what a lovely feeling that gives, and how true it is. I don't think there's anybody who would disagree that we are being held now. And this is a time we've never experienced before, a time like nothing we've ever experienced before. And out of this, something different, something new, life in a new way is going to come.
And just like birth or hatching or whatever, what's inside doesn't know until it's broken out, it's freed. So the great mystery, another great mystery.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you all. Thank you very much. So you all who are with us today have some little things you can think about, reflect on. And I hope you have at least one of the grandmother's books so you can explore these ideas even more, because the books are for that. They're there so that we can anchor ourselves in their teachings and that we can become these walking blessings upon the earth, which of course is our greatest desire. Send us any questions you have, ideas you have. We love to hear from you. And right now, there's our contact information. You can write that down, or you can just go to netoflight.org anytime and explore, because we've got lots of stuff there. We've got videos and we've got songs. We've got the grandmother's messages archived for, since the earth cooled almost. We've got so much stuff. But right now, what I'd like, before we leave, depart, what I'd like to do is just do a little bit of work together now. It just feels like you just kind of feel it coming, that it's a good thing to do. So take a moment, a few moments, close your eyes, and together we all give thanks to the grandmothers and to all forms of the divine that are here with us, because all forms of the divine are one. They differentiate themselves in one name or form for our sake. So we have an easier way to connect with the divine. Because the idea of just a formless God, a formless source, is a little much for humans usually to hold on to. We do better if we've got a particular name or image, that we can hold on to. And the divine, in its great compassion, knows that about us, and so shows up on earth from time to time in different forms for our sake. And what that means then is you can call on any form of the divine and all forms will come. So right now we call, and I'll say the grandmothers because they are the ones who brought this work in and gave us this opportunity to be together. So we call the grandmothers and we ask them to come in very close now and hold us. We are here, grandmothers, to learn, and we are happy learners, grateful learners, always glad to learn. And whether we're here in female form or in male form, we know that we have a mother. We have not only a human mother, but we have a divine mother, a cosmic mother. And we would like to get to know her, to feel comfortable, not foreign with her. And so we're open to learning about the feminine principle. If that is true for you, then just sort of say yes, If it isn't, just don't pay any attention. But for most of us, there is a hunger to feel and know the reality of the feminine principle, of the Divine Mother, a longing for her. And so we ask you then to teach us. I've never had so many phone calls in one day. To teach us how to receive from her, how to be open to her, and how to receive from her. And as you make that request, just notice your body as it begins to kind of relax and open to the possibility that, there is more. There is a divine feminine. I'm willing. I'm even interested. Good. And then feel that embrace that begins to just come in all around you and under you, lifting you, holding you, rocking you as you receive. As soon as you request, the prayer goes out, and the divine cannot resist a sincere request. So ask to be taught to receive in your own perfect way, the way that's right for you, this learning about the Divine Mother. The grandmothers say the world needs mothering now. And we have come to prepare the way for her. And the Divine Mother is returning to earth now. Good. Just rest in that embrace. And as you're just resting there, I'll just tell you a couple of little practicalities. My family, we will be moving within the next couple of weeks. So we may not do one of these sessions for maybe 3 weeks, but we'll be back and we will let you know. If you want to receive these notices and want to receive the messages from the grandmothers, again, contact us through the netoflight.org and we'll put you on the list so you'll never miss out on anything. Let yourself now be held in that love. You are more loved than you'll ever know.